Welcome back everyone, good evening. Welcome to another video, the first in a long time from me anyway. I've been away from the camera for so long, I'll explain why a bit later. Basically I've been working very hard for the past sort of year and managed to get myself sponsored. I'm now on a different visa altogether and this is what this video is about. I'm now on a sponsored visa, sponsored 4-year visa, and this is all thanks to the work that I've been doing in the last year. So unfortunately some things have had to take a back seat, like making videos and a bunch of other stuff I like to do. But now the stress is slowly starting to sort of die down a bit. I can get back to doing a few other things that I enjoy, like making videos. So that's great, and I thought I'd make another little video today just to explain some things on sponsorship that I've been asked due to my previous video on 5 things to do before moving to Australia. Yeah, I've had quite a few comments on that video and messages from people that say they've seen the video and they want to know about sponsorship and how does that work, and you know, they're having a tough time finding jobs where they can get sponsored. They want to extend their stay over here, or they want to stay over here indefinitely, but they don't really know how. I'm hoping to make a little video today that will go some way to explaining that through my particular experience, and maybe just give you some general information about the sponsorship process. I will include as many links in the description as I can for good websites to visit, information on sponsored visas and things like this. I'll include as much information as I can to try and help you guys along. Any questions you have, of course, regarding the issue or any other issue you want to know about in relation to moving to Australia or living in Australia, getting sponsored in Australia, anything like that, just put them in the comment section below and hopefully I can get around to answering everyone. If you'd like to see more videos on different subjects, if you want to know just some different things about living here, then yeah, just let me know and hopefully I can start making some more videos about life over here. So before I go on, let me just be really clear. There are a bunch of different sponsored visas that you can go for. I'll add a link in the description so you can look for yourself through the list of visas that Australia offers and decide which one you are eligible for, which one you want to go for. The most common visa that you'll see is the one that I'm on, which is now called the TSS visa, Temporary Skilled Shortage Visa. This is the visa that used to be called the 457. It's now called the 482 TSS visa. It's either a 2-year or a 4-year visa. I'm on the 4-year version, but you can go on a short-term TSS, it's called, which is valid for 2 years. This is the most common visa you'll see people on nowadays, especially people in the same circumstances as me. So yeah, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be talking about the TSS visa, but of course a lot of the points that I give will relate to other visas as well. So you're in Australia already, you're on a working holiday visa, and you've either done your farm work and renewed your visa for a 2nd year if you're from the UK or various other places, or you're here on your 1st year and you don't fancy doing farm work, you just want to get sponsored and start a new life over here or stay here for a few years, whatever. So you want to get sponsored. How do you do it? Because if you're over here, you would now realize it's a lot harder than you first imagined. And I'm here to give you a few tips and tricks of how to do that. And I'll cut it down into 5 basic things. So number 1, what I'd say is read up on companies that you're applying to before you apply. If you're hoping to get sponsored by these companies. A lot of big companies out there, and I've experienced this as well. I applied to a lot of big companies. For those of you who don't know, I'm in the engineering sector, so I applied to a lot of railway engineering companies, huge freight rail companies that I thought would be able to sponsor me. And after speaking to their HR teams, despite them being huge companies, they weren't legally allowed to sponsor people. So make sure you do a lot of research on the sort of companies you're applying to beforehand. It doesn't hurt to ask if you are applying to a company, just to send them an email and just say, look, you know, I'm here on a working holiday visa. I'm hoping to get sponsored so I can continue my stay in Australia. I was just wondering, is this something your company can provide, or is this something that we can look into? It doesn't hurt to ask. You don't want to find yourself getting into a company, going through the interview process, getting a job, and then finding out when you're in that job that they don't offer sponsorship, because that would sort of defeat the object, and you know, you would have to leave after 6 months, and that would be that. You would have wasted 6 months that you could have potentially used working for a company that would sponsor you so you can continue your stay. So email these companies, ring them, speak to their HR teams. Honestly, I've spoken to so many companies, so many HR teams, and it doesn't hurt to ask them some questions. Be direct about it. A lot of these companies don't have time to be to and fro with a bunch of emails. Just say it very clear cut in 1 or 2 emails. Just ask them what you want to know, and obviously be very polite and courteous with them, and they'll usually be very polite and helpful back with you. So that's tip number 1. If you don't get that one down, then you have no real hope to do it from then on, because as I say, you don't want to join a company and then find out a few months down the line that there is no possibility of sponsorship, when you could have used that time trying to go for a company which could potentially sponsor you in the long run. Apply for jobs that you don't think you are even legally allowed to do. Let me explain this in a nutshell. As you know, I was on a working holiday visa before. One of the stipulations of a working holiday visa is you can only work for one company for 6 months at a time. This is just a standard thing. Every person on a working holiday visa knows this. But when I was looking for jobs hoping to get sponsored, I found my current job. I found the advert for my current job, but it advertised a 2-year fixed term contract. I could have looked at this job opportunity and just brushed past it, thinking that I have no chance of getting this job. I'm 2 years, I'm not allowed to do this. I applied anyway, and as it happened, they were so interested in my resume, and after speaking to them, they offered me a 6-month contract, which was obviously within the realms of my visa legally. I would do this a lot. There's probably a lot of jobs that you can just brush past. You can look over because you don't think that you're eligible, or you don't think that you're worthy of applying for, or they might be a bit above your skill level. Apply for them anyway. Don't think that job adverts are set in stone. They can always be altered. Speak to companies about this, and that's exactly what I done. And if I hadn't have done that, then I wouldn't be here right now. Okay, so you've now looked at companies, you've applied for them. The third point is when you get to the interview stage. I was very clear cut with this. I was very to the point with what I wanted. Make sure you get your intentions right before you go in for an interview, before you talk to the recruitment side, or before you talk to HR or management in these companies that are going for interviews in. You want to sound enthusiastic without sounding too presumptuous that you are going to get sponsored. You want to make it clear cut that you have the intention of staying. Be very careful how you word this. You can't just say, I want to get sponsored, I want to stay on. It doesn't sound very good. Make sure you word it very precisely. The way I tended to explain it to companies and to my current company was that I had a very big interest in staying in Australia and hopefully extending my visa to gather more work experience and etc. etc. So that's point number 3. Just be clear cut and intent with what your intentions are or what your aspirations are, and usually HR teams will like that. So you've got past point 1, 2, and 3. You've got past the interview process, and you've finally been offered a job in a company which you know can sponsor you. So what do you do now? It may seem obvious to you, but you just have to knuckle down. This is exactly what I've been doing for the last 8 to 9 months, especially for the first 6 months. I was just knuckling down so hard. It's the reason I haven't had much time to do videos or do a lot really. I've just been knuckling down so hard at work, and it does pay off. You need to give them a reason to sponsor you. Even though the company may be able to sponsor you, it doesn't mean they definitely will. If a few months down the line you prove to be a bit lazy, not really worthwhile, they're not going to spend a lot of money, and it is a lot of money. It's thousands of dollars for them to sponsor you for a visa. They're not going to spend that money on you if you're not going to return their investment. One thing that the company will have to do is prove to the Australian government that you are worth sponsoring over them employing a local person, an Australian citizen. The way the government looks at it is that there is no need for you if they can get an equivalent person locally that doesn't require a sponsored visa. So you have to really show yourself to be over and above the rest, and it's just so worth knuckling down for that 6-month period. Obviously don't slack off after that, but especially for that first 6 months, you just need to knuckle down and just focus on what you've got to do. That's exactly what I did, and it did end up paying off. Okay, point 5. So you've made it all the way down the line. You've done point 1, 2, 3, and 4. You've been working, working your knuckles to the bone for 6 months now. and you're finally at the stage where your company says, right, we want to sponsor you, we want to keep you on. So what do you do now? Well, there is a lot of forms to fill out. There is so much paperwork to fill out once your company does apply for this visa for you. Speaking from experience from this TSS visa, there was a lot of forms I had to fill out. There was a lot of documents, passports and bank statements and all this sort of stuff that you have to photocopy, you have to get passport photos, etc, etc. This is made doubly hard if you are hoping to include someone else on your visa. So for me, for example, I'm here with my girlfriend. We're not married, so we're classed as de facto partners. This is also something else you'll need to fill out. Luckily with my company, I was able to add my partner onto my visa as a de facto partner. But along with this comes a lot of paperwork, a lot of proof of identity. Proving our de facto relationship was actually harder than submitting the paperwork for the actual visa. If you're married, it makes it a lot easier. You can just provide a marriage certificate. But if you're in a de facto relationship and you're not married, then it's very hard. Make sure you get all the paperwork you can. They want things like screenshots of Facebook conversations that you've had over the last 12 plus months. They want to see joint bank accounts. They want to see you on each other's superannuation or pension funds as beneficiaries. They want to see any link that you and your de facto partner have. They want to see it. So yeah, point number 5 is if you make it all the way to the end, make sure you get a lot of this in check, because if you don't, it takes a long time. You have to submit one document to visa agencies, you wait for a question back, you submit something else. If you get to this stage and you know you're getting sponsored, try and get as much of your paperwork together as quickly as possible as you can. Get everything photocopied, every bit of ID you've got, proof of address, your birth certificate. You want to get every detail of your travels. With the visa paperwork, believe it or not, they wanted to know every single holiday me and my partner had been on in the last 10 years, with arrival and departure dates in the last 10 years. So yeah, we took a lot of looking up on Facebook and old photos and ringing family members. They want to know everything. So the more of this you can get, you can get organised before that point, the quicker this whole process will be, and hopefully you won't have to miss any time off work like I did when my sponsored visa wasn't ready in time. I actually had to take a few weeks off work while my new visa was getting implemented before I could return. So yeah, if you made it to point 5, first of all, well done for getting this far. I know how hard it is, but I hope you're proud of yourself for getting to this point, because it is a very difficult thing to do. And but yeah, try and get as organised as you can. It'll save you a lot of headache and stress and everything over months, which is what I had. So yeah, once you're organised and you can give them what they want as soon as they want it, then you're halfway there already. So if you made it through all 5 points, I hope that you're now sponsored and living happily in Australia. I hope this video goes some way to describing what it's like to be sponsored and giving you some sort of guidance as to what to do or what to expect. Sorry if the video is a bit rubbish. This is my first video that I've made in a long time, so yeah, bear with me. But if you made it to the end of the video, then thanks very much. If you could give this a like and subscribe and comment, whatever you want to do, that'd be great. And hopefully I'll see you guys again soon. Thanks.